Hey guys, Roxy here. So I thought I'd do a quick video on how to get the plane started from a cold and dark state up in the air, and then I'm going to do a second video on landing the plane. So rather than doing a full flight and having an hour or so in the middle of nothing really happening, I thought I'd just do it in two segments. The first one starting it up and getting it off the ground, and then the second one landing. Now this is my first YouTube video and my first guide, stroke tutorial, whatever you want to call it, on anything, and I'm using the 737-800 model for today's purpose, and I'm sporting the Caribbean Airlines livery. Really do like this one, it's very vibrant, and it's quite apt because we are currently in Trinidad, birthplace of my father, so I'm actually really happy that we're here. So let's get inside. So as you can see, everything's switched off apart from obviously the Avitab tablets. Now I'm going to make the assumption that you know how to go onto SimBrief and do a flight plan and put it into the correct folder so that you can then upload it into the FMC, and also you've had a look at some videos on the Avitab and the various different settings within the Avitab and what it can, what you can do. If you don't know how to upload a flight plan from SimBrief, then this is kind of going to make this video pointless because there's going to be a big segment of it what you won't be able to do, mainly the flight. You're going to have no waypoints, so I would definitely recommend, if you don't know how to use SimBrief, stop this video now, go onto YouTube, if you're not already on YouTube watching this obviously, and watch or search for SimBrief installation, I guess, something along those lines, and see if you can find one for SimBrief for the 737. Download, install, whatever you can find for it, and watch them, because it's quite important that you do have a flight plan. So assuming now that you watched that and you're at the point where we're going to go through, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go through one little setting, or two settings in one, that I have, and that's within the realism, and I've turned the align time and the refuel time to short. What that means is when we're doing the refueling and when we're aligning our IRS, it is really quick rather than having to wait minutes and minutes for that to get done. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into fuel, payload, and the fuel that we're going to go for today, let's go for 10,000. Plenty of fuel there just in case we need to do any go rounds, anything like that. We're then going to go ground service and connect the GPU and call our fuel truck. Now what I'm going to do while I'm here is I'm going to call a better pushback,
Ground to cockpit.
just to get that set. So yep, I'm happy though. We're actually going quite a long way. I should have probably loaded it at a different part, but that's fine. This is all good. It will do the job.
Cockpit. Tow is driving up.
So the tow truck, as you can see, is coming here. It'll drive around and connect to the plane, but the plane won't move until we release our parking brake anyway. So that's that done. Let's go up to the top, get some power in here. So battery flap down, ground power on, and then we're going to go and align our IRS so that our flight computers will work. So as you can see, it's only going to take a minute. Normally it takes 7, 8, 9 minutes for the alignment, but turning the settings down to short puts it on 1. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our FMC, hit the top button, pause in it. Our reference airport, we are in Trinidad, so we're at TTPP. Sorry, it makes me giggle when I say that.
All doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
So that's just a tug connecting. So we've got our airport reference coordinates. We just need to get our plane coordinates from the GPS and then stick it in there, and then we're going to click on route. Here's a little shortcut, because normally you type in your origin, which is already here anyway, TTPP, then you would type in your destination, which is SBBV, and then you type out your code route. Now the code route is the 10-digit code that you will have from SimBrief when you download your flight plan.
And bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
That's Tolga just saying to Tug saying to release the parking brake so it can move, but we'll leave it on for now. They'll wait there patiently. So yeah, as I was saying, you type in for your origin, you type in for your destination, and you type in a 10-digit for your code route, which is the 4-letter origin, the 4-letter destination, followed by 01. What you can do for a shortcut, although this is taking me long to say it, but going forwards, to save typing those things out, is you've already got your origin here. If you then type in your destination, Sierra Bravo Bravo Victor, and then the 01, and hit co-route, it fills all 3 of them out at the same time. So it just saves you a little bit of time. So let's hit activate, execute, and then you can see we've got our initial departure line there, the purple line. So let's go, click the button up the top of here. We're going to go reserves of 1, cost index of 36. All this information I'm getting from SimBrief, so that's why I recommend watching that if you don't know how to do this part and where to get the information from. Today we're flying at a flight level of 240. The cruise wind is 252/26, and our outside temperature is a nice toasty -17. Execute N1 limits. We're going to do a D rating of 1. Takeoff. Today we're using flaps 5. We're going to hit this button there next to center of gravity. That gives us a trim of 5. So we're already on 5. And let's go V1, V rotate, V2. V2 speed is 134, so we can fill it out now so we don't have to remember what it was. 134. Let's go departure and arrival. Departing from runway 28. There is no SID for this one, but sometimes there will be. Execute, departure and arrival, arrival. Make sure you hit the bottom arrival, not the top one, otherwise you're going to end up going in circles. And we are landing at ILSU 08. So although there's 3 ILSs, they'll have different waypoints to get into that. We're going to go for this one, and we're going to use this Sundu waypoint. Execute. We're going to go back to legs, and we're going to check for any errors. So that's all looking fine. Next page. Alright, so we've got a discontinuity. That word is the hardest word for me to say for some reason. So Sundu. We click next to Sundu because that's the waypoint after it, and then we click next to it, and that'll just replace it. And that's all done. Next page, that's all fine. Okay, that's where we're landing, so we're not really too bothered about after that. So let's hit execute and go back to start. So that is our flight plan all done. Happy days. Right, let's go back up to the top. And we're going to go yaw damper down and start the APU. So we're just going to hit this down once, but turn it on, and then all the way down to start, and hold it for 7 to 10 seconds, or until you see this needle moving. The needle's going to go up, it's going to come back down, all pressure light will go out, and the generator bus light will come on. It takes a few seconds. So as I said, this is my first YouTube video. Part 1 of 2 on the 737, so please feel free to give any tips and advice in the comments. Please go easy on me because it is my first one, so I'm no professional. Right, so the lights come on, so let's turn the APU generator on, and then we can turn our GPU off. Good stuff. Right, so now that we've done that, let's put on our emergency lights, and seatbelt lights are on. We've already got our passengers in, so they're all good to go. Let's turn some window heats on. That's just up here. window heats left and right, and the air conditioning packs left and right are going to auto, and the APU bleed is going on. Right, with flight level we're going to, for the cabin pressurization, 2400, and the landing altitude is 300. Cool. Right, so let's just do some pre-checks before we start our engine. Engine start switches are at auto. Our throttles are back, and our cut-off levers, or engine start levers, are in the cut-off position. So let's go and arm our auto throttle. Speed we've already done. The runway heading is runway 284. Oh, yep. Go back. So it's runway 28, which would be 280, but the actual accurate heading for this one is 284. And you would, or you could set in your initial altitude in here, but we're just going to head all the way up and let the computer dictate as and when it changes rather than us doing it manually. Awesome. Right, so that's that all done. So we'll switch on other buttons when we get to the runway. We're going to check to make sure that there's no doors open. And let's get some fuel pumps on. So we have got fuel in our center tank, 2090 kilograms. So let's turn the center fuel tanks on, and also the left or the forward and aft fuel tanks here. When it'll drain the fuel from the center fuel tank first, and when that starts getting low, you'll get a fuel light come on like this one here. All you then do is turn the center fuel pumps off. Okay, it's not going to affect the plane if you leave them on, but you're just going to have the constant fuel error light coming up. So let's go to the electric pumps. That's these two in the center here. Turn them on, and we're going to turn the anti-collision lights on. And we've already called our better pushback who's parked up, so we can release our parking brake.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, so she said we can start our engine, so let's turn the...
Hey.
Oh.
Quit blinding me with your landing lights.
I don't know why these
Turn
was
them
on.
off.
They should have all been off. So let's turn the packs to off. And turn engine 1 to ground. You can do these in either order. I always thought from watching other people's videos that you had to do engine 2 first before you did engine 1, but the flight checklist that I have printed off says to do engine 1 first. I've done it both ways, it seems to make no difference. Right, so we're waiting for this to go up to 25, and then we're going to put this lever all the way up to idle. And then that's going to continue on. It slows down at about 45-50 and it'll go up to 59. That then is going to switch to auto, and then we can then turn this one to ground. You can turn it before, and then as soon as it's ready, this will then start, but we'll do it this way. So again, once this is around 25, we're going to move this lever up, and then we'll wait for that to turn to auto, and then we can then turn our generators on. So let's get that lever up. So let's just go to auto. Cool. Right, so we can turn our generators on. Light will come back on again. You can go up here, probe heat on. We don't need anti-ice here. Air conditioning packs can go back to auto. Isolation valve to auto. Our APU bleed can go off.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Parking brake back on.
Disconnecting tow. Stand
So
by.
we've done APU bleed off. APU switch can go off, and the engine start switches can go to continuous. Flaps for takeoff, so we're going flaps 5. So that's on flaps 5, and you can also see this will go up to the number 5 in there. Let's get taxi lights on. And then as soon as the tug is out the way, it'll give us a wave and we can move.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
Thanks. So it's going to go around, park up somewhere here, jump out, give us a wave. Cool. Right, so we can move on. So we're just going to taxi down. Got a little bit of a way to go because our part's on the other end of the airport, but that's all fine. Won't take us too long. I'm going to take a right here. No, not. We're going to go straight down actually. Don't worry, we're going down that way. We'll go straight down there and then take a left. So we'll take a left there, all the way down to the end, take a right. We are going to be coming out around about here, and obviously the start of the runway is there, and there's a turnaround point. I'm fairly confident that we can take off from here, so we'll do that rather than going all the way down and turning around. Take a little left here. So we'll be stopping short of the runway, and then just changing some lights around, doing some final checks before we take off. I'm missing out quite a lot of the checklist that is, I'm going to say, is irrelevant for this particular video, but is relevant if you want the whole immersion part of this simulation. So obviously feel free to add extra bits in, announcements and all that sort of stuff, but the purpose of this video is just to get you up in the air. And once you've done this a few times and make your own little notes, you know, so that you can understand what you're doing, to be honest, apart from certain bits with the power, you need to do certain things in the right order, otherwise things won't switch on or things won't happen. And obviously the flight directors and the computer and all that sort of stuff, they have to be done correctly. The rest of it, I don't actually think it makes too much of a difference which order you do them in. I've always just stuck to the same way anyway. I'm following a flight checklist. So if you follow your own little list after watching this video, then you should be all good to go. Right, so we can just see there's little lines here and runway numbers, which is where we're going to be stopping. So let's just spin it around, runway ahead. Awesome sauce. Runway 28 is what we're taking off on. So let's park up here. We're going to turn our taxi light off and we're going to put our runway lights on. They're all going to go on. We are going to turn our heading select on. Oh, flight director's on first, sorry. And then turn our heading select on. Initial speed is set. Let's turn weather on. We'll turn our TCAS on so that other planes can see us, and ATC, although we're not actually using ATC. And let's turn our position to steady. Strobe and steady, sorry. Strobe and steady is up and steady on its own is down. And let's move forward to the runway. Obviously checking that there's no planes coming in, no planes on the runway, no planes coming in there. So we're all clear. Good, good, good. Right, so we should be up in the air in no time. So you can see our flight plan, we're going off at a slight angle, but the runway is straight on. So we're going to follow heading, we'll turn the heading bug to get us onto the flight plan. And then we can then hit LNAV to turn around. So let's get ourselves lined up on the runway. And hold it there. Right, final checks. Lights are all on. Seatbelt lights are on. Initial speed bug is set. Heading is set. Altitude is set. Heading select is on. Turn RTO on. Could have done that earlier if you wanted to, but we're not actually taking off at the moment. Just make sure you do it, so if you need to abort your landing, then obviously you can turn that on. And flaps are at 5. So we're going to start our clock. If you've got numbers in here from a previous flight, just hit reset and then turn it on again. The bottom one does it in hours and minutes, and the top one is a chrono in seconds and minutes and seconds. Okay, just to let you know, I generally do it on both of them. So I do the hours and minutes on this one and the minutes and seconds on that one. So we're ready to hit toga. So that will come forward, release speed brake, parking brake or brakes, whatever you have on. Let's get this bird in the air.
$80 knots.
So we're at 80 knots. You can see by this ticker tape, we're going to be rotating here.
V1 rotate.
V1 rotate. Pull back.
Positive rate.
Positive rate, let's go gears up. So once the gears are up, we're waiting for
400.
these orange lights to go out. And then once the orange
1000.
lights are out, we can then put our gears into there. Cool. So we can turn RTO or anti-skid off, and let's turn on our autopilot. So we're on our heading at the moment, but we're going in this direction, 288, and we want to be heading off to the left. So we're going to turn the dial and bring that dotted, hashed magenta line to intercept where we want to be going. And then when we get close by, we can hit our LNAV. So let's turn the speed up a little bit. Let's go for 160. Let's go for 170. And then we're just watching our flaps here. So we're going to go flaps 2. So we are now above our standard pressure, so let's hit this button here to go standard. We're going to go flaps 1. Let's go 180. And flaps up. So we're going to go VNav and LNav. And that's us flying. On the flight path now, it's going to spin around, get ourselves onto here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is us up in the air. There's not really much more to do now. A couple of little checks, make sure that the flaps are up, make sure that your gear is up, anti-skid is off, we've got LNav and VNav on, autopilot is on, our altitude is set to 2400. So when we get to 10,000 feet, we will be turning all of our lights off on here. We're going to go, our position is going to go to steady, so it's going to go all the way down. And we'll turn our engine start switches to auto. And that's it. There's nothing else to do. Once you get to that point, until I generally, when I get to 20-30 nautical miles before top of descent, is I'll then start going through my top of descent checks and getting everything ready before then. What you can do any point between now and before before you're landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to observe the fasten seatbelt sign until the captain has switched it off. We do recommend for your comfort and safety that you keep your seatbelt securely fastened throughout your flight. There is a call bell reading light and fresh air vent in the panel just above your head, and we'd like to remind you that this is a strictly non-smoking flight, and all toilets are fitted with smoke detectors. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy your flight with us.
Thank you. Little announcement there, hopefully you heard that. Right, so we've passed 10,000 feet, so let's get our lights up. Turn our position to steady. Turn our engine switches to auto. And that's us good to go. So we're going to keep climbing until we hit 24,000. As I was about to say before, got interrupted by our cabin crew. Any time between now and before you landing, the earlier the better, so that you don't end up panicking, is you can put the course and the frequencies on your nav to the airport that you're going to. So a couple of ways you can do that is you can use charts like I have here, so you can use the charts on Navigraph. You can look up that information on the internet for the airport, or for anyone that wants to be quick and easy and not have to try and find that information somewhere else, is on your FMC. Now obviously other planes that have other computers might not give you this information, okay? This video is obviously only relevant for this particular plane, but if you hit this button here, init ref, it gives you the details of the airport. So ILS 08U, the frequency 109.3, which we have in here, 109.3 and 109.3. So what you do is you adjust the standby frequency. The big one does the hundreds and the little one does the decimal point, and then you hit this transfer button and it flicks it over. Okay, it basically swaps the two over. So do that on the active left and right, and then the course, which is here underneath CRS course 078, is what we're putting in our course bugs. So once the two of them are done, that's that all good. What you can then do is you can monitor the legs, just double check that they're all right, make sure that you haven't got any issues that are popped up, which you shouldn't do. You can click progress, so you see where you're going from, where you're going to, how many nautical miles it is, the time that you're going to get there. So we're going to get there for 17:06, and it's currently 15:44. Now what I've actually done is I've done this flight already to make sure that everything's working, and I've already recorded the descent and landing for this particular flight, so the times are going to be back in time. I'm going to be going back in time to the landing. The reason being is trying to catch a bit of quiet time with the kids running around and the missus asking questions and whatnot. So I started the flight earlier, which I was going to do the recording for the takeoff, but then it was really noisy, so I basically chopped it off and just recorded the descent and landing. So like I say, you will see a little bit of a difference in the time, but everything else is the same. It's exactly the same flight plan.
Thousand ago.
The only difference will be the time that's landing here is different from the time that I did actually land, because I've already landed. So that's it. We're getting up to our cruise altitude of 24,000. Throttle's pulling back a little bit to go for our cruise speed. We've got a crosswind of 32 knots, so nice and gentle, nothing too crazy there. What you can do is, what I like to do anyway, is I have the legs on this screen so I can see what's going on, and on this monitor is I hit FMC and progress on this screen, so then I can see both of them at the same time. So I can see the legs that I'm on and coming up, flight levels and speeds and distances, but the main thing is I can see how far it is to top of descent, 457, 456 nautical miles, the fuel that I currently have in the tank, the time that I'm due in the arrival airport, so SBBV, 532, and I'm due in there at 17:07, 17:06. Obviously that's going to fluctuate depending on speed. If we get a tailwind, we're going to speed up. If we get a headwind, we're going to slow down. And we can see the wind direction and speed here. So that is pretty much it, guys and girls. There's nothing to do. Feel free to obviously head into galley and have a drink, something to eat, chat to the passengers, and then come back. Obviously I generally, when I get to around about 50 nautical miles, I'll start concentrating again, and 20 nautical miles is when I'll start doing my descent and approach procedures, checking everything, checking charts and making all the settings. The main settings that you want to definitely fix before you need to start descending, so before you hit top of descent, your altitude needs to be at a flight level below where you currently are. Otherwise, you're just going to stay at this. Excuse me. You're going to stay at this altitude and you're going to keep flying, and you won't descend, which I've discovered in the past. You can do it now. There's nothing stopping you from changing this now if you wanted to. So you can either go to the next flight level, which is 170, or what I personally do is I'll go to where we're landing, so runway 08, and then go to two steps above that, which is 2,500 below. So if we put in 2,500 in our altitude, what the plane will do is when it gets to the top of descent and starts descending, it'll keep going through these steps So it'll go to flight level 170, it'll go to 4,000, it'll stay above 4,000, it'll stay above 2,500, and at this point here it will still go below 2,500, 1,910 to the landing, even though this says 2,500. If I was to set this as an example, if I was to have this at 1,800, it will get to 1,800 and then stay at that flight level. So we want to put this to 2,500, so it goes all the way through, because by the time we get to this point we're actually going to be on our approach, we're going to be hitting VOR lock and other systems will kick in. So that is it. Nothing else to do. Like I say, you don't have to change this now, you can wait until later, before you descend, while you're descending, before you descend, you want to have this on. Other things you can change after you're descending. Righty, so thank you for watching. Please leave any useful tips and comments in the comments below if you feel necessary. And obviously constructive criticism is always appreciated. Just please bear in mind, this is my first YouTube video. I'm not a pilot, I'll never claim to be a pilot, and I'm certainly no expert at flight simulations, but I do know how to get this plane up in the air, into cruise and landing without crashing. So, and that's all you want to do really in a flight. So yeah, if you have anything to say, then yeah, please put in the comments below, and see, depending on how it goes, I might do future ones in other planes and other destinations and all that sort of stuff. And if anyone does need any help or advice, then please let me know. So thanks again, and catch you later.